Who's Sam Bankman? I actually have no idea who that is. Hey everybody, so we'll start in a couple minutes. I should be doing cleaning or schoolwork or something like that, but I'm just playing Starcraft 2. And I figured why not open up a stream and we can talk for a bit if anybody wants to come on and say hi, as it were. So, that being said, how is everybody on this beautiful uh, Saturday, I guess it is at the moment? Uh, Things here are pretty good. Let me see. I haven't been outside yet. Let me see. What temperature is it here? This is Winnipeg, so it's going to be like, what, negative 15 or something. It was actually pretty warm this week, but that actually makes it worse. Actually, I think, exactly right. I think it is negative. Well, it's negative 13, so I was close. Um, yeah, so it's cold. It's very cold outside, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So hopefully everybody's doing all right this weekend. I've just been doing a bit of this, a bit of that. So, if you have been following me on anything, I've been talking a lot about StarCraft 2. Basically, I've been wanting to play a new RTS game, and I went through the homeworld games. And the homeworld games, I didn't quite get through 2 because I didn't think 2 was as good as 1. And I got through Deserts of Karak, which I really liked. But there hasn't really been anything that good that's come out recently, to be honest. And it's kind of sad. Um, but I figured, why don't I go back and I find play an older game. I had never actually played the StarCraft 2 co op. So I started playing that, and that was a lot of fun. And I thought I'd go, maybe, you know what, I'll try actually playing a game online for once. The only RTS I ever played, like in ranked, was World in Conflict, which I actually was pretty good at. Um, this one, though, I'm getting there. It's been a really interesting experience because this game is very. Uh, it is very interesting, and I think I've learned a lot about RTS games in general. Because I always just kind of had the campaign mission mindset where you just build a doom stack and then destroy someone. But it's pretty interesting to kind of have the back and forth and, yeah, stuff like that. So, anyways, hopefully, yeah. So, we'll go through this. I've been playing a lot of Magic the Gathering Arena lately as well. I got a new deck. Maybe I'll show that in the next stream or whatever, which is a elf deck. Elves are kind of hilarious just because they reinforce each other and they're very tempo based. So I find with my elf deck, either I just slay everything in front of me and the guy quits on like turn 4, or it's just they get some sort of I don't know if counter's the right term, or they just hit me back with something. They play some board wipe, and then I just get completely and totally felted. So let's talk about StarCraft 2. So this is just a game I've kind of been playing on and off over the years. So it's not like it's a massive time investment per game. And it's interesting because there's a bunch of guides like low APM or bronze to GM and stuff, and I don't think they're quite as good necessarily as people say they are. I don't know if you can really get to GM or even diamond with them, but it is interesting. Um, at the moment, I think I have about a 53-54% win rate. Um, think I have like a 50, yeah, 56, 54% win rate or something like that. So, I'm actually doing better than I thought I was. I managed to fail my way up to the Gold League. Uh, I don't know if I'll ever get above Gold League or necessarily even get a. It'd be nice if I could get to Platinum, but just being able to like win games on a semi-regular basis is nice. So I've been playing as Protoss because I'm that guy, and we're gonna just jump into the ladder and see what failure awaits me. It's also professional StarCraft games are actually pretty fun to watch. Just because all the main guys like Maru and Cyril and Raynor and stuff all have their unique styles. And you do see just a lot of insane shit happen. Like I think there was one match between Scarlet and Maru where it was like I think Maru used over 100 nukes or something, which was pretty interesting. So if people have any questions for me or they want to ask me about something, just let me know. A lot of this is muscle memory, so it's kind of like I find it's almost easier to play a FromSoft game sometimes when you're talking to someone because so much of it is just muscle memory. It prevents you from kind of overthinking things and getting distracted.
Oh, here we go again.
So let me know if the audio balance is okay. Um, so yeah, I've just been doing a basic uh, Protoss macro build. I'm not. I don't know. I just kind of went through the different races. I just don't think I have like the ADHD or the multitasking required to play Zerg. I might try playing Terran at some point, but I don't know. I kind of like. I just kind of like Protoss. I like that they're like big blue space paladins.
Need more pylons.
I mean, who doesn't love big blue space paladins? I also just kind of like their units. The only thing I really kind of dislike about Protoss is the lack of anti-air, but Archons largely deal with that. So let me think what else has been going on. I've been playing the Pokemon games. They've been pretty fun. Scarlet and Violet are... So, here's the issue with them. They're really... they are buggy, and their performance is really bad. But on the other hand, you do get what people have wanted for a very long time, which is a completely open world Pokemon game, where you can just kind of go out and explore and do stuff like that. Yeah, you kind of need Adderall to play Zerg. My guess would be that Zerg has the highest skill cap and Protoss probably has the lowest. But it's kind of interesting just because like when you hear about StarCraft or any RTS, they always focus on like the micro. Yeah, Stormgate looks really good. I'm excited about it. Basically, Blizzard, from my understanding, just doesn't care anymore about their older games. So, yeah, I get that Arceus was also an open world Pokemon game, but this is like an open world Pokemon game that's has gyms and stuff like that. It's fuck a Reaper. I didn't get my stuff up fast enough. So for those of you who haven't played StarCraft 2, this is a Reaper. It is one of the many annoying Terran units. I'd say Terran is by far the most annoying race to play as. Yeah, I should have gotten photo cannons. I'm a little bit behind.
Save those probes.
But the number one tip I've learned for dealing with stuff like Reapers or cannon rushes and stuff is just not to panic. Because what this guy's probably doing is he's not building anything at his base. He's not building...
Recall?
Oh, he actually got one out. They're generally not building SCVs. They're not building barracks. They're not building other stuff. He's spending all this time here just attempting to troll me and micro his Reaper. So if you just kind of stay calm and I don't know if ignore it's the right term, but just don't get like overly excited about it, it's probably going to work out all right. So I'm just going to put up a couple cannons and a ship battery. So.
Your research is complete.
One of kind of the cool things, so as I was saying, I think when people think about playing like ranked RTS games, they think a lot about the micro and getting like 300 actions per minute or something like that. Well, that stuff can be helpful. From my understanding, that's only really good at important at the very high levels. A lot of times, people when they start doing the fancy shit, they just stop building units, they stop getting upgrades, and they stop like really playing the game, and they wind up getting behind. So if they're like micro fails, they're just kind of don't have anything left to work with, as it were. I know I've won a lot of games when people are just trying to, like I said, overly micro, do something fancy, and then their like sneak attack fails, and then I just overrun them with a much larger army. So I'm just going to macro up. This was a tip Winter did, where you can put a photon cannon in your mineral line, and it won't actually slow your probes down significantly. But because you have a cannon there, if they try to do Reapers or they try to do Banshees or drops or something, you at least have something to slow it down. It makes them have to commit. Okay, and let's get some more gateways.
Not enough minerals. Are you saturated yet?
I get that Sky Toss is really good. I just kind of feel, not necessarily like it's like cheating, but I feel if you just kind of target Turtle for like 20 minutes and then hit them with a bunch of carriers, you're not really learning how to play the game very well. You're just kind of learning how to do that. The problem with character profilers is I'm kind of a bitch when it comes to them. Because I'm just always very worried about getting major details wrong or stuff like that. And because of that, I often will just not do them, even though I really should be doing them more. Okay, he's trying to send some cyclones. I don't need to worry about it. I have charge lots. I have an immortal. Just working some more immortals. Yeah, like this is kind of an example of what I'm talking about. He is probably not getting upgrades or doing any of the stuff he's supposed to do while he's sending the cyclones out. Also, it's not as if cyclones are free. If those cyclones get destroyed in kind of a half-assed attack, then he's behind on resources. That's not to say like harasses or attacks never are good to do, but it can very easily go bad.
A mineral field has been depleted.
From my understanding, 9 times out of 10, just focusing on having a build and getting units built is more important than trying to kind of fuck around and stuff like that. But yeah, I need to do more character profiles. I just kind of need to suck it up and expect that I'm going to get some details wrong. Like when you're trying to cover... So I don't use a script when I do videos normally, but I do normally have notes, at least mental ones. Like I will, generally speaking, do a fair amount of research. It doesn't always necessarily look like it. And there's just always a lot to remember when it comes to character profiles. Just because you're trying to look at the totality of a person, be they fictional or real.
Can't put it there. We've been over this.
And I walled off my probe. There we go. That's very Bronze League hero moment. By the way, if you guys haven't seen it, there's this really good series on YouTube called Bronze League Heroes, which is dedicated to like the worst Starcraft players playing against each other, and you just see like the most bizarre, weird stuff go on in that. Yeah, maybe I'll do another one like that. Yeah, see, this guy thinks he's being really clever. He doesn't have any upgrades either.
You took all the minerals from
I did on administration. What's the administration one? Is that the one about how attempts to get to increase. I think I put that Nexus in the wrong spot. Oh well, whatever. Okay, that's really annoying, but I'm just gonna move over here. Just ignore it. It's not worth the time and caring. Just focus on getting units, getting upgrades, and macroing up. And we will build a Templar Archive, and I guess I will also
need
get
a
that.
power field for that.
I mean, every day at my job, I find that becomes more and more true. The endless stream of approvals means that basically no one is responsible for anything, and there's kind of no oversight for anything. It is a bit counterintuitive, but it just kind of is what it is.
Your upgrade is complete.
Would you say there's anything redeeming about Canada's history? I mean, there's a lot of stuff. It is my home. Like, keep in mind, part of why I complain so much about Canada is because it is my home. And it's hard to see that. Like, if it was just some random, like, third world shithole or something like Sweden or something or like that, it doesn't really make me that angry. Let's see. Are they light? No, they're just armored and mechanical. Okay. So I lost a bunch of zealots there, but that's fine.
You need more gas for that. Upgrade completed. Your forces are just
I was trying to do a raid. Okay, there we go. To maybe do some counter damage or just to stop him from macroing up.
You require more Vespine gas.
Okay, we're getting upgrades. Let's get some more zealots. And we'll start getting thermal lance, and we'll get some colossi. Get another robo bay. So, the most basic principle from my understanding of an RTS and playing any RTS against other people is that more shit counters less shit. So even if you're not the best at like microing, if you can get more of the mostly correct units than your opponent can, you're probably going to win.
Upgrades finished up.
And it's kind of interesting because, like, you wouldn't think about it, but Age of Empires is a really good example of that. Where if you just build more units and you get more upgrades, like, even if you're not the best at, like I said, micromanaging stuff, you're still probably going to win. So, I think, as I've said in the past, I actually have like a manual dexterity thing, so problem. So I have very bad hand-eye coordination. So that's partially why I play Protoss. It requires less APM than Zerg or Terran. There we go, and we're getting upgrades. I'm gonna get ready to move out. Unless you forget to build detectors and they have widow mines. Yeah, I mean... Oh, thank you for reminding me. I actually forgot to do that this game. Yeah, so here we go. So, Immortals are like a god tier unit. I think Immortals are my favorite unit in this game. Because they do a lot of damage to armored and they... Yeah. So...
More gas.
So that guy just lost his entire army. I took a little bit of damage, but not a significant amount. So that got resolved, and now I'm just going to focus on maxing out.
An upgrade's been completed.
Pretty much maxed out. And I am going to take a fourth base, maybe, before I move out. And there we go. It takes a little while to get used to, but it actually isn't as hard as I thought to actually win games. Like I said, if you apparently if you go into it with like a basic game plan, you're still going to lose to people who can rush occasionally or are just faster than you or you miscalculate. But it's not impossible for someone who's not particularly good at video games to lose. Even if you just like write your build order down. Yep, I'm making another base. And the Archons.
You're all mined out of that mineral field.
So, a tip I learned is, in general, it's better to not look at your army.
Mineral field depleted.
And to just kind of let them fight it out. I mean, you lose some efficiency by not microing them,
Not enough minerals.
but it's more important that I have a backup
Not
army in
enough
place
Are you
if these
saturated
guys
yet?
fail. So it's more important that I'm getting upgrades, building new units. I'm going to keep building immortals, and I have lots of gas. So I'm going to start
got no
getting some more
minerals.
Archons.
Good job keeping that money down.
So I think the idea is if he... Yep, there we go. So I guess kind of my strategy, generally speaking, is I start building an army. I wait him for the other guy to attack me on a advantageous position, and then I counterattack. And if you can even just blow through one or two of their bases, they won't have the economy to come back from it. So, yeah, I have really bad APM. His APM was over twice mine, to be honest. Score summary. So, army value. Yeah, there we go. That's one of the big things. A lot of people, particularly at lower leagues, just won't get upgrades. So something that's cool that they're doing in the... they're coming out with a patch. So they're making Archons less thick. So Archons will actually be able to go through one space between walls. Because I've lost a lot of games just because Archons get stuck and they jump in battle cruisers or mutalisks or something, and I have no way to get them there. So there we go. We won this, and let's go. Actually, let me see what rank this guy is. Yep, of course, he's Master League, obviously. Now, I think there was a bug where people who were in Bronze League were listed as being in Masters League. So a lot of people will have Masters League as their highest achieved league, even if they aren't that good at the game. But, yeah, so... There we go. So, like, as you can see, a key part of, like, early game Protoss is walling off. And the issue is if you wall off properly, Archons can't get through. And if you're not going Sky Toss, they're your main anti-air. Against battle cruisers and stuff like that. So, they're doing that. They're nerfing Sky Toss for some reason. I don't think it really needs to be nerfed, but... Okay, so this is by far my worst matchup against Zerg. Because in the lower leagues, no one plays Zerg. I think when I was in Silver League, I'd say maybe like...
I'm sure it'll be better this time.
1 out of every 10 games was Zerg. It was like 1.5... It was like 3 games out of 20 were maybe against Zerg. Like 70% of them were against Terran, and then you had a couple Protoss thrown in. From my understanding, if you're like if you're a Zerg player, you'll probably make it fairly high up the ladder, solely on the basis that people aren't really experienced in fighting you. Like, I've heard a lot of people say that Protoss is at his disadvantage versus Terran, or Terran's overpowered or something. And even if that's true, I just have a lot more experience playing against them, because basically everyone in the lower leagues is Terran. I think that's because they're the most similar to your standard like RTS race, because they have like factories and normal production, and they have tanks and guys with machine guns and stuff like that. Whereas Protoss and Zerg is very different from the other factions, and Protoss is also pretty different. Also, I think the Wings of Liberty campaign is free now, so a lot of people just started playing that. Probably a lot of people also get in through co-op. Co-op is actually really fun in this game. It's kind of too bad that Blizzard stopped developing it. And stopped, yeah, just making more of it. So I am going to... I'm a little behind, but I wanted to get that second Nexus. So I'm going to Chrono Boost out a Zealot. Because this is Zerg, so almost certainly... If I'm... You may notice I'm not really scouting. In general, I find... Scouting can help somewhat, but you can normally, I find, fairly accurately assume what your opponent is doing. Like, 9 times out of 10, Terrans are going to hit you with Reapers. Zerg is going to call in some Zerglings to try to do a Zerg rush against me. It's generally fairly consistent. And a lot of people, when they scout, also just kind of get distracted. So... Actually, it's interesting. Some of the best,
How many gases I want
they were too busy hiring women to molest, or I mean, for diversity. What does that mean? I'm not sure what you're referring
more
to.
Minerals.
Here we go. And I'll build a shield battery. I probably build too much static defense early game, but I'd rather have a couple cannons and a shield battery than not have them. So it's not a bad wall. And I will get a Tonkin. But yeah, Iron Harvest was like... The more I think about Iron Harvest, the more disappointing it was. Like, it had the potential to be a really good game. My single biggest issue with Iron Harvest is that the infantry are basically the same for every country. The pillboxes are basically the same for every country and stuff like that. I don't think I could go back. SC2 just has so many quality of life improvements over Brood War. I don't think I could go play it. I'd probably just get really angry. Okay, robotics facility. So I need to get some Zealots out. I never know if I should wait till I get Warp Gate or I should start getting building my army prior to that.
Research complete, but have we learned
Oh, that looks
anything?
like a Dropper Lord. Or maybe? I don't know. But let's get some Zealots out. Let me boost that. The other issue is just no one I know got it, because I really wanted to try, like, the co-op missions, but no one... Either the people I knew who were interested in it didn't have computers that could run it.
For that.
So, okay, let's start ground weapons. And I'm gonna need another pylon. Once I have charge upgraded, I'm gonna move out and take another base. I probably build
Not enough minerals.
what are they called? Forage is too early, but I guess spending too much time and money on upgrades is better than not getting them. So, okay, and I need a Templar archive. Okay, I'll get a couple of those.
Need more pylons, or free up some supply.
I need to do something about that
Research finished.
Overlord at some point, but just leave it for a second.
You got no minerals. Good job keeping that money down.
Okay. We'll build a couple of pylons.
need more gas for that. More gas.
We'll get one Archon out. There we go. But just like in Brood War, can't you not rally worker units to automatically start collecting resources when they're built? I feel like that was something that like they introduced. I'm not sure. The other thing with Brood War is you can only control like a couple units at a time.
Mineral patch is gone.
Which always I thought was really lame. I think it's what, like 15 units at a time or something like that is the limit. So what I think I will do, I haven't been building Immortals. I need to start getting those out sooner rather than later.
Mind out of that upgrade is all done.
Get a robotics base. I probably will need.
Not enough minerals.
Colossuses, because he's Zerg. So I think what I will do, and once again, I don't know if this is a bad strategy, but I find it can sometimes work. I'm going to go do a Zealot raid to just try to put some pressure on him.
We stand as one. Cassar de Templari.
And I need to build some more pylons. It's probably really sloppy to put them like that, but... Hey, it's Brenda. Why are you kids on my lawn?
My meditation is over. I return to serve.
Yeah, okay, that was a mistake. But I know he has Hydras now, so... For that, I need some... Colossi. Okay, and we'll research Extended Thermal Lance and get some more... Zealots.
Need more minerals. You're all mined out of that.
I have met the enemy.
We all alight our minds are as one.
So I don't think I'm good at this game. I don't think I'm like hopelessly bad at it either. I've been playing this for about a month and a half, or maybe 2 months now, but I think I'm getting some of the basics up and running. Okay.
You took all the minerals from that cluster, you thief.
Yep, that Zergling is definitely going to do well against the Colossi. Let's see. Upgrade weapons. I already have that.
Not enough minerals. Are you saturated yet?
I'm just going to focus on maxing out now.
No minerals for that.
Oh, oops. Mistake. I should have taken the second gas. Okay.
Your research is complete.
Those. Stalkers.
You got no minerals.
I am here.
Okay, 4 Colossuses is probably fine. I'll grab a couple more Immortals.
Need more minerals.
Oops. Okay. Oh, that's Winter. He's a Starcraft commentator slash does guides. So I have his his announcer pack. I don't know, just because I like him. I think he does good tutorials on how to play the game. So just gonna go
An
chase
upgrade's
him
been
down and
completed.
try to do some counter damage.
For the reckoning.
Okay. And
How many times? Still can't work there.
Highlight for hire. I am the voice of the eclipse.
okay, and we need ground armor. Yeah, he did a low APM series. So for every race, he did a guide where he
Not
went
enough minerals.
from bronze to masters with below the average APM for each race, which is kind of what I use to get my basic build order, such as it is.
Warp there. You require more Vespine gas.
What do I think about miniatures? I've just never gotten into miniatures. Part of it is I've just never had anyone really to play with. To play miniatures with.
More Vespine
So.
gas.
Okay. So let's start by attacking this.
Very wise.
A mineral field has been depleted.
I don't like that I don't see him.
Enemy Noah Fury.
Oh, he has corruptors. Okay, that's fine. Okay, get some more immortals. Warping more Zellars. Yeah, that was a feltoning for him.
We are one with
Let's see. I should get some more production.
let our enemy Noah Fury.
Yeah, so even if he kills this army, I feel like I've done enough damage to his economy that he's probably not going to be able to easily recover from this. Build 2 more of that. And I'll get some more gates.
I return.
Upgrades finished up.
State thy bidding.
I hate dealing with corruptors, but I don't know. He's losing a lot of resources. And there we go. Oh, I'm actually doing pretty good. Yeah, 50 versus 150. It's funny. That's pretty cool. So I feel like he just went really bad, or did he not spend money on upgrades? Yeah, he didn't spend money on upgrades, like, at all. Or, no, he did a bit, but... I don't know why he did so poorly. He had more income than me, and more workers than me. I guess just because, you know what it probably was? It was probably just because I built, Colossi and Archons, and I built, like, the right unit composition, and he just built, like, a really, like, the worst possible unit composition to go up against me. If he had have gone mass roaches, he might have won. So did anyone have any comments or things they wanted me to address or something like that? Let's see, who am I up against? Another Protoss. I hate PvP. I don't know, it's just PvP is always just kind of...
Welcome back to Bronze League. Another game of Starcraft.
Yeah, so Winter does Bronze League Heroes, which is, like I said, he goes through the worst games he can find. And he does, like, it just kind of makes fun of them. I think my favorite one, you can look it up, it's called Extremely Bad Manners. So, one of the guys does a Proxy Rax Reaper All-In. and he basically just spends the next 20 minutes trolling the guy he's up against. Like, he keeps letting him build
You must construct
units,
additional pylons.
and then yeah, he keeps letting him build units, and then he comes in and destroys the units.
No minerals for that.
And I think he types LOL about 30 or 40 times, and he just keeps like almost destroying his buildings and then undestroying them and stuff like that. And ultimately, the guy he's up
Not
against
enough minerals.
was able
Are
to
you
get
saturated
through, get a SCV out and build another base. And he got, I think it was like 5 Liberators and 6 Siege Tanks. And then he lured the guy's units into a trap. And the guy had like 30 Reapers, and the 30 Reapers died in like 5 seconds. And then he ran away like a bitch. So that was pretty cathartic. Yeah, so he just got, like, completely destroyed. Let me see here. Yay or nay on cannon rushes. I kind of feel with stuff like cannon rushes, you probably can get really far. You can probably get up to like diamond or platinum by doing cannon rushes. I just feel you're not really learning how to play the game then. I'd rather lose more and kind of get a better handle on what you're supposed to do than just kind of rely on cheeses. I guess is how I feel about cannon rushes. I hear Pokemon series is finally having an ending. Yeah, I heard about that. I'd like it if they would resolve, like, the age-old question of who Ash's dad was. I felt like it's been coming to an end ever since Sun and Moon. Just because, like, a bunch of stuff happened in that series that hadn't happened previously. Like, Brock briefly got a girlfriend. Ash actually won a league. There were some other, like, unique things that happened. I guess, like, the other,
The firstborn shall persevere.
the other question, I guess, in mind is... Oh, shit. Okay, that's not good. Yeah, I'm getting blown out here. Yeah, I'm gonna probably lose this game. I'm not gonna quit. No, maybe. No. Okay, I think I'm gonna survive this, because this guy didn't know what he was doing, and he decided to attack my... To not actually attack the stuff he needed to attack, so... He just wasted, like, a whole base of units.
Can't work there. Regulations.
And accomplished basically
Your
nothing.
probes. Defend them.
And I'm just gonna keep macroing up.
Let your will be heard.
I think something this guy forgets is that workers can attack as well. So... Okay, rebuild the wall.
Firstborn shall persevere.
And I'm gonna get some... What should I get? I could get some Zealots. Yeah, I have a lot of money, so I'll get some Zealots. I'll also get some upgrades. And maybe another Photon Cannon in case he tries to do this again. Yeah, but that's a good example of what I mean. Like, if you just stay calm and don't panic and try to deal with the situation, very often it will resolve in your favor. But that's a good example. Well, we'll see if I win this or not. But that's a good example of like something you can probably do to win a bunch of games, but it may not help you out in the long term.
Let none deter us. Glory to the Daylong.
Is this like an AI or something? He just keeps doing the same thing over and over
The
again.
Templar must.
Okay, and I'm just gonna get some upgrades so my zealots will be better than his zealots.
How many times?
Also get a couple defensive cannons up.
I return to serve.
And I should probably go take
Pylons
a
are the
third.
powerhouse of the Protoss.
Yeah, I gotta go take a third sooner rather than later. And we'll get a couple more.
Research
points.
finished. I'm still waiting on high-sec auto tracking.
And let's get another immortal and get a couple more zealots. Okay. And we will take a third. Yeah, so I think my single biggest problem is in this game is I will often, oh, I got too many. Oh, well. Forges, that's alright. Better too many than too few. I tend to spend
Power
too
field
long
is required.
macroing up before I actually build units. So I'd say that's kind of my single biggest problem, but I've gotten better at it. As you saw there, I actually had some stuff up and running. Is Quebec nationalism based? No. Quebec nationalism is based on two things, which is secularism and linguistic nationalism. Basically, like, the approach of a lot of Quebec nationalists is Anglos out, Haitians and Central Africans in, based civic nationalism, is kind of the approach that a lot of people in Quebec take. Also, Quebec, keep in mind, because Quebec has banned public employees from wearing any religious symbols, and that was done as like a, we're gonna own the Sikhs and we're gonna own the like Muslims or whatever. But it also bans Christian symbols. So if you're like a public employee in Quebec, you aren't allowed to wear a crucifix, for instance. So, like, we're gonna ban our own religion to like own the Muslims or whatever. It's just really. My friend Turellian is French Canadian, and he really hates other French Canadians.
Mineral patch is gone, and it's not coming back.
Just because
Upgrade
he's
is all
a
done.
Catholic.
Upgrades finished up.
So Quebec used to be a very conservative province and a very Catholic province. I think what wound up happening is Quebec's economy just wound up developing very slowly compared to the rest of the country. In part because the Catholic education system was over-reliant on the liberal arts and under-reliant on, and didn't really
Mind out of that cluster.
have much technical or business or stuff like that. So Quebec's economy fell really far behind the rest of the country's,
Can't warp there.
and
Regulations.
it never really caught up. The other thing was the conservative, the Union Nationale, or however you pronounce it, was also extremely anti-union, and that alienated a lot of the lower classes.
More gas.
So,
How many gas is that 1 out of 3?
like I said, it just kind of turned into a
Not enough
disaster.
gas, but I'm sure you'll
over
have
time.
more than enough later.
Okay.
More gas. How many gas is that 1 out of 3? You need more gas for that. More Vespine gas.
Okay, come on.
We shall stack a song. Zetum Plus.
I feel like I should probably, unless I completely fucked it up, be able to just
Your
kind of
upgrade is
move
you took
across
all
the
the
map
minerals
and
from
win
that
at this
cluster, you
point.
thief.
Kassal Datum Plus. Highlight for hire. We stand as one.
I mean, I've almost maxed out, and I have like Archons, Immortals, Charge Lots. Let's see, what are my upgrades at?
I return
2, going for 3. 3! Or is that 3? No, that's 2.
An upgrade's been completed.
Okay, and... Okay, guys, let's move out.
More mineral field depleted.
You know what? I need to get a
Datum.
couple of Usurpers. Or else what'll happen is he'll have a Dark Templar, and then I'll just get my entire army killed by it.
Nice. Mineral patch is gone, and it's not coming back. Can't put it there. We've been over this.
Okay, and we're gonna do the trusty select all army hotkey and go. So I like to go here. What are the boys memes? Oh, okay, he did some kind of weird proxy build. Okay, that's fine. I'm just gonna blow all this up. So I guess that's where all those early game
Upgrade
zealots came
complete.
from. So
But at what cost?
there we go. We dealt with that. I'm
Can't
just gonna
work
build
there.
some stalkers. Stalkers aren't very good, but they're good for defense because they can hit everything. The Boys is just like a show that just got so paused in season 2, I just couldn't watch it anymore. Particularly with like the whole Stormfront thing. I didn't watch season 3, but apparently they like euthanize her in season 3, and I just don't really have any interest in watching that. So I don't know where his army is. If he has like 20, I'm half. Yeah, okay, that was what I was expecting. Like 20 carriers. Okay. So what am I gonna do? I'll see if he has another, and I'm gonna have to start building Sky Toss to counter this. I should still have a pretty large production advantage over him.
Warp there? Oh, you.
Okay, so I need to build some Tempests.
Upgrade completed. Your forces are just a little bit better. An upgrade's been completed.
I'm just not sure what I should do now. I have a big army of mostly good units. I just don't know if I have enough to take on the carriers. You know, I'll wait till I get a fleet beacon and start producing Tempests, and
Research
then I'll
all
worry
done.
about that. Okay.
A mineral field.
Okay. Waiting for.
You took all the minerals from that cluster, you thief.
Okay, actually my Archons seem to be doing better than I thought they would. I guess that's the benefit of having max upgrades when your opponent has basically no upgrades.
Your probes will mind that guy's around. Hope you didn't need gas. upgrade is all
Actually, you know what? I could probably just attack him. I don't think he has enough to, like, actually stop me from just going in and blowing up his base.
Let none deter us. We are of one mind. Forward.
Yeah, I just don't think he has the DPS.
To glory.
Even if I lose this army, I'm still, like, way ahead of him.
You require more Vespine. Your upgrade is complete.
Najakar.
That's the nice thing about Immortals, is they're, well, Immortals. And they can just take an absurd amount of punishment.
Porzalah. To glory.
You're all mined out of that mineral field.
It shall be done.
Mineral field depleted.
The Templar march. Faith before fear.
A mineral field has been not enough gas, but I'm sure you'll have more than enough later.
Okay, so I lost that army, but I just completely destroyed everything. So I'll start a new base. He probably has a bunch of proxies. Actually, I have a... Okay, let's see here where the proxies are.
You took all the minerals from that cluster, you thief. Mined out of that cluster. And still in the game? Nice. Mineral patch is gone, and it's not coming back. You got no minerals. Good job keeping that money down.
I need this tonics to stable.
You're all mined out of that mineral field.
Surprise.
Enemies in your base, looking for your Artosis pylons. It actually worked this time.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That actually... So I think I won 3 in a row there. Which is nice, because I was getting completely blown out in my... I was on a losing streak, actually. So... I don't know, I find it tends to come in streaks. I'm 90% sure the... no, I never got around to doing the new Jedi Order books. Finished a... I might switch over to Magic the Gathering for a little bit. I got through a biography of Jay Gould, who is one of the first big Wall Street bankers, and that was pretty interesting. I'm currently going through a book on Vanderbilt, which is also pretty interesting. And then I'm going to move on to... I just didn't get through the book on the Comanches. It was just kind of boring. What else have I gotten through? I got through Christian nationalism. My best friend is an Eldritch horror. I have a biography of Andrew Jackson that I'll probably go through next. And I have Lionel Dormer, Andrew Dorner's... what is his name? No, is it Andrew? What's his name? The guy... I'm trying to remember what his name is. The Vanderbilt book is called The First Tycoon. Vanderbilt's a very interesting guy. He was kind of... So, he was in a lot of ways a massive piece of shit, towards his family at least. But he was a guy who was a great builder. Like, he did... steamboat industry in America completely from scratch. He built the steamboat industry. He built kind of the concept of the passenger industry. He kind of came up with the idea of integrating different things together, like highways, trains, steamboats, all that stuff kind of into one bit. What's interesting about Vanderbilt is he came from kind of nothing. Um, his family were actually farmers on Staten Island. The idea of someone being a farmer in urban New York is kind of bizarre. But yeah, he was a farmer. His family were farmers in urban New York. Sounded like they basically financially abused him for a long period of time. He wound up having 10 kids with his wife, but he mostly ignored them. I think he forced his wife to get a job and pay for the upkeep of his kids when he was making millions of dollars. So we're going to fire up Elvish Horde, which is my current main deck I'm using. Jay Gould is the biography of Jay Gould is pretty interesting. It's called American Rascal. So he was like the first guy to really use insider trading, like deliberately starting market panics, and basically just fucking with everything to try to make money. Like he completely destroyed the gold market of America. I think at least once, maybe multiple times. Okay, that's a good starting hand. Okay, and I'll put him at the bottom. So the basis of this deck is to just get shit out as fast as possible. And they all go and, yeah. Vanderbilt also committed his wife to a mental institution, and also one of his sons to a mental institution. I think he committed his wife to a mental institution because he wanted to fuck his governess of one of his kids or something like that. He was not a good man. There is often, and sometimes in life there are good men and there are great men. Vanderbilt was not a good man, but he was a great man. But the book on Jay Gould is kind of interesting because it says you can talk about the amount of harm that the robber barons did to the country and the amount of like just kind of nonsense involving corporate stuff. But at the same time, their companies employed hundreds of thousands of people and completely economically transformed America into the prosperous modern nation it is today. A lot of them also built universities, libraries, monuments, some of like the greatest infrastructure in the modern US. So you had that aspect to them. And kind of the guy's point is, okay, so they were shitty in a lot of ways, but so were nobility. I mean, how is it worse for someone to start a war for like honor or territory or something like that and get hundreds of thousands of people killed and destroy the nation's economy than to do it for profit? Maybe I'm not explaining it very well, but I think you understand what I'm saying. Basically just that the question is, why are the achievements of great men who make money through war or politics greater than the achievements of men who make money through or make their wealth and power through trade and commerce? And I think it is an interesting idea, if nothing else. Okay, and I'm just going to attack him with the minimum required to win. The cool thing about Vanderbilt, though, is he was like 6'1" or 6'2", and he would just beat the shit out of people. So, like, if someone was trying to use his steamship line, he would just beat the crap out of them, like, with his bare hands. And this was, like, a recurrent thing of him just getting into fistfights. which is pretty base. Jay Gould also came from nothing. A lot of the guys actually came from very humble backgrounds. I don't think I really made that point very well, but like his point was you have like Jay Gould, despite being kind of a sleazy capitalist, his businesses employed, like I said, hundreds of thousands of people. They economically developed large portions of the country, and yet we build statues to people who start wars and or a lot of other kind of things. Sorry, once again, I'm sorry if I'm not really making the point very well, but I think you get it. No, Gould isn't Jewish. I think he was. I forget if he. I think he was. I forget if he was Scottish or Anglo. Kind of an interesting thing that was happening at this time period in America. So America, prior to the age of Jackson, at least in the Northwest, was largely an aristocracy in New England, or I guess kind of in the Northeast. So you had an old Anglo-Episcopalian elite that more or less monopolized all the main levers of power within society. Yeah, I lost. I'm just gonna... Yeah. Let me just stop playing the game for a second so I can talk about it. So what a lot of people had done in the northeastern United States is they had bribed, because people think politics is corrupt now. It used to be you would just literally go in and give a bag of cash to assemblymen or congressmen or something like that, and they would pass laws. So what the Anglo elite would do in New York, for instance, they would get Congress or whatever the New York State Assembly is to pass laws to give them monopoly control over various aspects of the state economy. So there would be like a consortium of aristocrats, and they would together have a monopoly over steamboat travel or road construction or trains or any number of different things, and there was basically zero competition. And because they had such dominant political power, they were able to do that. They were wealthy, and they were able to kind of maintain their position of wealth. What wound up happening during the age of Jackson is you had the conception of rugged individualism, the idea that the elites were perpetuating a system for their own good, and that America was a republic of citizens and a republic of free men and more or less equals. So then you start to get into the idea that anyone with talent and anyone who had the skill and drive to achieve something should be able to do that. Because you had the Federalists and the Whigs and eventually the Republicans, who tended to be kind of more conservative, more elitist, and they tended to favor the use of government to promote economic development through spending on... sorry, I'm just losing my train of thought here. Spending on railroads and expanding the size of government to develop the national economy, whereas Jacksonians saw that as only being the tool of the wealthy. And I mean, there's points on both sides of it. I'm fairly sympathetic towards the Federalists and the Whigs, because I tend to believe more in the American school, which is protective tariffs, financing internal improvements, and investing in education and science and technology. But what wound up happening is the Jacksonian Democrats, through the Supreme Court and a number of other things, were able to break the power of monopolies. And part of it was also expanding the franchise so that all male citizens could vote. And when those things kind of fell apart, you had guys like Vanderbilt and Jay Gould, and I don't know if Carnegie came from a poor background or not, but they would be able to come in, and they were just much harder workers. They were a lot more cunning. They understood business a lot better, and they were able to just basically utterly destroy the aristocracy. And you had this kind of awkward transition period where you have the nouveau riche, or the new men, who have a lot of money but no political power. And they aren't invited to any of the like the parties or stuff like that, and they're regarded as being very crude. Vanderbilt, for instance, believed that standardized spelling was gay, so he tended to just use his own spelling when he was writing, and he was like not particularly literate. But because he was willing to do shit like sleep on his boats and not like just stuff like that, he was able to basically completely blow out the competition. This was the period where you really got stuff like lost leaders, where they would run ferry boats that were completely unprofitable for prolonged periods of time in order to get to destroy their competition. So they would run things at basically cost or below cost. Like one of the things that they did is, I think maybe this is partially where the idea of tipping comes from, is Vanderbilt just stopped paying like his employees who served like food and stuff on his ships, and instead they were getting paid by tips from the various people on the ships. So basically, he just told them, "You guys are just gonna have to beg from whoever's on board to get money. I'm sure you'll figure it out. I'm not gonna pay you like a fair wage anymore." And that wound up working because it cut his costs to the point where basically no one could compete with him.
Our magic bears fruit.
Grant's presidency was kind of a disaster. So Grant was interestingly not corrupt himself, but his like brother-in-law was corrupt. Everybody around him was corrupt. Everyone who he appointed was corrupt. And it just led to an age of like where America was governed by a kleptocracy, more or less. So that's annoying. Okay, I'll play that. I do have something that can shoot that. I'll just wait until next turn, though. I don't want to sacrifice my planeswalker. Fist of the Angels, that's a base name. Decline, and I will swing with the team. Well, I did a video where I talked about it, so I can't say this on YouTube, but so YouTube's has said in their terms of service that there has been no fraud in any previous presidential election. It doesn't just say like the 2016, the 2020, or any of that. They say no election. So according to them, elections were completely free and fair when like blacks weren't allowed to vote and when women weren't allowed to vote. So that's based, I guess. But that also means like during the Reconstruction era where they disenfranchised, I think also part of their terms of service is that mass numbers of people have never been disenfranchised, I think is another thing that they say, like I said, in their TOS. And during the Reconstruction era, Southern white males were just not allowed to vote. The only people who could vote were like carpetbaggers and blacks. So the Republicans just won basically presidential elections because of their mass number of because they controlled southern states. I hate Blood Chief's Thirst. It's just really annoying. I wouldn't say it's overpowered or anything, it's just annoying. Like Serp told me when he was in university, um, he was told that Tammany Hall was a conspiracy theory and it didn't exist. So like there was no corruption in New York elections prior to whenever. When I mean New York was known for having like the most corrupt elections in America and that it was governed by Tammany Hall. And it's not even a conspiracy theory. Like Tammany Hall had a lodge where they publicly conducted business. It's not as if like it was in any way, shape, or form a secret. But like that didn't happen. Like from my understanding, I think the Democrats won multiple presidential elections because of no, actually, I can't say that on YouTube, but because Tammany Hall was able to corrupt the ethics in video game journalism. New York is a large state, and it was a northern state, so it was swing state. I mean, you can ask Surf. That's what he told me at any rate. I'm just going to take that. What's my opinion on legal immigration? I think legal immigration is bad. I don't know. I think that a nation has a right, let me see how I can put this in a way, to demographic stability. It's interesting, the Mexican Constitution actually says that a right of the Mexican people is to demographic stability. So I think immigration should, if legal immigration occurs, it should be in proportion to the preserving the indigenous population. I'm going to start calling Europeans indigenous just because I'm tired of this whole, like, conception. Like, because I had to do like a corporate meeting about indigenous peoples, and I wasn't allowed to ask questions, but I was going to ask them if the Chinese are indigenous to, if the Han Chinese are an indigenous people. My understanding though is like for someone to be indigenous they have to suck. So like the Norse aren't indigenous to Scandinavia, but the Sami are indigenous to Scandinavia because the Sami are historically worse off than the Norse are. Which I think is kind of retarded personally, but that's just kind of the way these things work these days. I'm just going to take it. There's not much point in blocking. Well, like, in the case of Iceland, Iceland had no human inhabitation before the Norse settled there. But somehow Iceland, like, the Norse are not native to Iceland. They are an indigenous people, for some reason. So, but that's just kind of how things are these days. Wow. Okay, that's kind of overpowered. No, that's broken. It's kill any non-land permanent for 2? Really? Wow. Let's see. I'm gonna play Voice of the Blessed and Dawn of Hope. So yeah, so even if there's no prior human inhabitants to an area, if they aren't like non-white, then they are considered to be indigenous. Okay. I just got completely mana screwed this battle. This game. It's annoying.
I've learned much during my travels. Let me show you. Strike fast and strike hard.
Oh, I keep forgetting is that stupid Revenge of Ravens.
Going to go how you think.
Yes, Spain belongs to the Moors. That is 100% true. Spain belongs to the Moors for reasons.
Show them how we greet our enemies.
I don't know. I feel like balance has just gone like I feel like historically there was some conception of a card could only do so much based on having a certain amount of mana cost, but that doesn't really seem to work. Let's see here. Let's try. So, like, I don't get it. With this deck, I have 26 lands, but I'm almost always mana screwed with it. I actually got so frustrated with not being never drawing lands that I went over um, the limit with it. I have like 62 cards in it just because I'm so tired of always being mana screwed. But I find even with 26 lands, I don't draw enough mana. I don't know. That's the problem with random numbers is you never really know. My belief, and this could be completely insane, is that the algorithm in online games is designed not so that you're put up against people of similar skill levels, but that you're forced to maintain a 50-50 win-loss rate. So if you're up against people who are much better than you, no, so if you've won more than half of your games, they will put you up against opponents that are far above your skill level. But if you've lost more than half of your games, they will put you up against opponents below. 52% approval rating or something, and just kind of gradually work your way up. But I don't like my experience in StarCraft is a lot of the time I find they'll either put me up against people who are just complete and utter shit and can't even like really play the game, and then the other half of the time I'm up against people who just completely curb stomp me. That could be a conspiracy theory. I find MTG Arena is also very much like that, where I feel like I'm either up against people who just completely devastate me, or people who are much worse than me. I will attack with... Actually, I might as well attack with both. I do think Heliod's Sun Crown is overpowered. Heliod's Sun Crown is kind of ridiculous. Okay. That's annoying. It's fine though. Cast Righteous Valkyrie, and we will attack again. This is an indication of how pause magic is. Lyndon the Steadfast Queen is from the King Arthur expansion. So yeah, now Guinevere is black. The thing that really irritates me is, where is it? They made Urza's wife black for some reason. Just because everybody has to be black now. We can't have any original black characters. We just have to go and... I mean, Magic had black characters historically. You had Sisay, who a lot of people liked. You had Teferi, who a lot of people liked. Actually, I might get Elspeth. She'd be a good avatar for my,
Erebos will not confine me to his prison of shadow.
She'd be a good one for my... What deck was it again? My life gain deck. Elspeth's Son's Nemesis. Actually, that's kind of a cool looking card sleeve. But yeah, so let me find a picture of Urza's wife. What's her name? I think she's... Let's see, Brothers War. I don't remember her name. Her name is really weird. They haven't made Urza black yet, so that's something. They didn't make Titania black either, so I guess that's once again something. I like that they actually introduced... there's actually Urza cards now, which is kind of cool. Yeah, there we go. Kyla Bin Krug. They just made her like... I don't know. I just think she looks hideous now. She was supposed to be like an unrivaled beauty. Also, I don't think the rest of the Oceans are black either. I think it's just her. Oh no, I guess the Oceans are dark skin. No. Are they? They're like Arab or something. Let me see here. Okay, I think Tons is no, but he's not black. I'm trying to remember what his name is. The clockmaker guy. Historic It's not Dominaria United. Rusto? Okay, let me see here. I'll try to find a picture of Urza's wife in a minute, what she originally looked like before they blacked her. Hercule, they at least they didn't make black, I guess. But we can't have like original black characters. We can't have Teferi. I mean, Teferi was always black. People liked Teferi. He was one of the more popular characters. People liked Sisay. Ashnod they didn't make black, so I guess that's something. Let's see here. Mishra. Draconic Destiny. I'm looking forward to the, I think the next set is called Phyrexia All Is One, which is kind of cool. So for those of you who haven't followed the plot line in like the last 20 years, which is most people, new Phyrexia happened and they had a civil war. And there was a faction for each of the Phyrexians, like blue, white, all the different colors. The white faction wound up winning, and it's kind of awesome just because they're so like terrifying. Maybe I'll see if I can throw up a couple of them. I'm trying to find his name. Let's see. Maybe he's just not in this set. Maybe it's another set he's in. Okay. Which reminds me, I need to do a review of Fruits Basket when I'm finished it. I'm almost finished Fruits Basket, which I don't know. I'm probably gonna tear it a new one. Like it's not. It doesn't make me angry. It's just kind of really lame. I think is my issue with Fruits Basket. It's just lame, and it's rated as like the third best anime of all time, and I just think it's very deeply flawed, to put it mildly. So this is what Kayla, Urza's wife, looked like prior to the revision. So I don't know. She somehow completely changed her race. Okay, come on. Yeah, that's what happened. Because we can't do anything original, we just have to undo everything. What was the other thing? Yeah, so the White Phyrexians won. I'm going to show you some... Alesh Norn is the head of the for White Phyrexians. She is very terrifying. So completed White Phyrexians have porcelain skin, or like armored porcelain skin. Let me see if I can put this up. I don't know. Google, like, I find Google Images has done this thing where everything's like this WEP nonsense now, where I can't, like, put it up. So that's Alesh Norn. Let me see if I can find a better picture of her. So she wound up winning the Phyrexian Civil War, and now she is the mother of machines, kind of like how Yawgmoth was the father of machines. Why are these all such low res? So Phyrexians are weird. I don't think there is like a Phyrexian race. I think that most of them were originally humans, but they kind of come in all varieties. Um, they're just very collectivist and hive mindish. Let me see if I can find some more white Phyrexians. It's just a very interesting because the original OG Phyrexia was entirely based on black mana. I think they had a couple white mana units. I think Yawgmoth had made these like parodies of angels, but yeah. There's another white Phyrexian. Yeah, they remove their skin and replace it with porcelain. White Phyrexians have dermophobia, which is caused by the ID concept that skin separates you from the rest of the hive. So by removing skin, you remove the barrier. I don't know. They're really scary, to be honest. Interestingly, the only faction of Phyrexians that didn't go along was Red, because Red doesn't really mesh well with extreme collectivism and totalitarianism. So they were substantially less evil than the rest of them. But I mean, Phyrexians are Phyrexians. I don't know how I feel about them keeping Yawgmoth dead. Yawgmoth was a cool villain. I guess it's good that he stayed dead. I do kind of miss him though, just because I liked him a lot as a enemy. So let me see if I can find some more white Phyrexians. I think that's most of them. There's not too many of them. Anyways.